For decades, Mel's Hole was no more than a peculiar legend, a mythical bottomless pit somewhere in country Washington state. It was to drain anything, challenge the principles of science, and generate interest from enigmatic government officials. Today, for the first time ever, AI technology of a cutting-edge standard has charted it in unparalleled resolution. And revealed secrets nobody anticipated finding underground. Could this be the evidence the government never wanted to have us see? Was Mel's Hole just a geological anomaly, or something much older, stranger, and maybe alive? If this type of story resonates with your heart, if you're one of those who love truth, responsibility, and shouting for the mute, then like this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science, and share it with someone who needs to know. Let's begin. For years, Mel's Hole was nothing more than a legend told in late-night talk shows and fringe internet forums. The story started with a fellow by the name of Mel Waters, who said there was a hole on his land that wasn't just deep, it appeared to be bottomless. No bottom. No echo. No explanation. Back in 1997, Waters phoned Coast to Coast AM, which provided a forum for the strange but still challenged its assertions. Mel didn't sound like a mad fabulist, he sounded like a relaxed neighbor casually referring to a pothole in his driveway. But his assertion was remarkable, he had lowered a lead-weighted fishing line into the hole, letting out spool after spool until he had traveled over 15 miles without finding anything. No heat. No resistance. Just bottomless darkness. The peculiarity did not stop there. The dogs would not approach the pit, snarling and retreating. Birds would not fly over it. The townspeople had filled it with every type of garbage for decades, refrigerators, tires, even dead animals, yet nothing ever splashed when it hit the water. No bounce. No ripple. It just disappeared. Native American lore from far earlier than Mel's era also spoke of a haunted area close by, an area, not for people, not due to spirits, but because it was an entryway to something else. Something old. Something different. Scientists scoffed at it. A shaft of that depth vertically must buckle under its own weight. As a point of comparison, the Soviet Kola super-deep borehole, the deepest hole man has ever made, only penetrated 7.6 miles, after decades of drilling and massive investment. And Mel said he'd done it twice that depth with nothing more than curiosity and fishing line. If it was impossible, then why wasn't it just laughed away and forgotten? That's when things got dark. A short time after his appearance on the radio, Mel reported that men in black showed up on his land. The hole was inaccessible, allegedly because of a plane crash nearby. He was allegedly told that he had been offered money to emigrate if he never mentioned the hole again. Then Mel vanished. Year by year, satellite photographs of the region were unexpectedly obscured. Volunteer search parties noticed their GPS equipment malfunctioning within the presumed location. Some who pressured too much were subject to strange phone calls, had their accounts break in, or lost all of their research at night. By the 2010s, Mel's Hole had crossed the border from legend to symbol. To one group of people, evidence of clandestine government operations. To another, an anomaly of nature waiting to be explained. But all agreed on one point, whatever the truth might be, it had been buried deep. Early in 2024, a different type of exploration started, not from flashlight-carrying hikers or shaky-armed YouTubers, but from a secret, privately sponsored crew of engineers, retired military techs, and subterranean cartographers. Their charge: make a complete 3D image of Mel's Hole with a next-gen AI system that can integrate photogrammetry, LiDAR, ground-penetrating radar, and electromagnetic field sensors. On the rim of the pit, they constructed a gigantic rig, half deep-sea pulley, half satellite base. Hanging from it was a matte black cylindrical drone sprouting sensors, poised to descend. The initial moments passed uneventfully, until the AI picked up on the fact that the walls were much too smooth, almost glazed. Shaft walls are irregular, this one was symmetrical. Purposive. At 200 feet, the AI found something stranger still, no microfractures. The shaft's material didn't match local rock, it was denser, stronger, and in some areas absorbed the scanning signals completely. At 340 feet, LiDAR detected perfectly spaced ridges circling the walls, structural reinforcements, the kind you'd expect in a man-made tunnel. Deeper yet, electromagnetic sensors spiked erratically before stabilizing, as if something beneath was emitting energy. The partial 3D model from the AI showed side chambers, immaculately symmetrical and too accurate to be natural. The further they probed, the less it looked like a hole and more an engineered shaft meant to be permanent. When the first full model of the AI came in, the shaft was found to be precisely 14 feet wide from top to bottom, a geological impossibility. A thin ledge or ring stuck out from the wall every 50 feet with machine-like regularity. Density scans discovered composite alloys within these rings, unfamiliar alloys to the U.S. Geological Survey. Then, at 280 feet, the AI sensed a seam in the wall giving way to a warm, empty space the size of a shipping container. At 470 feet, it discovered a metallic half-dome protruding from the wall, with another channel leading down into sensor darkness. The shaft was no longer a simple shaft, it was part of some greater system, built for durability and function. One engineer finally voiced what they were all thinking. It feels less like we're discovering something, and more like we're trespassing. The AI flagged multiple access points along the shaft. Chamber 1, 342 feet down a sealed recess behind a metallic ring. Inside, the AI detected 3 distinct warm zones, 2 controlled to be natural, as well as metallic echoes consistent with manufactured objects. Chamber 2, 511 feet below protected so well it nearly outsmarted the scan. Contents, 4 6-foot-high cylindrical items in a grid pattern, throbbing with rhythmic electromagnetic energy. Chamber 3, lower, sloping upwards, with 1 solitary irregular item higher than a man, marked by the AI as organic-like shape. The crew argued about breaking into a chamber, but the threat of collapsing the shaft, or disturbing whatever was in there, kept them from doing it. Then, suddenly, the AI gave out a warning alert. Motion detected in Chamber 1. A warm zone had moved several inches. In an area sealed for perhaps centuries, that was impossible, unless something inside was alive. The AI verified it wasn't a glitch. LiDAR reports flickered, indicating a malleable form that appeared to shift its location. They gazed at the feed in stunned silence, understanding that they were no longer merely charting Mel's hole. There was something down there. Something that had just shifted. The heat signature did not dissipate as it transferred. Rather, it bloomed, increasing by a fraction of a degree. In scientific terms, that implied increased activity, such as a pulse rate acceleration. Within the control tent, there was only silence, weighing heavy. The head engineer grunted something about failure, but his tone was strained, revealing uncertainty. The AI had already marked the anomaly as low-frequency kinetic activity, and worse still, it had flagged 2 previous scans exhibiting almost identical micromovements that human operators had totally overlooked. And then the EM spike. The drone's compass wildly spun for the first time since initiation of descent, its orientation feed malfunctioning before returning to normal. The AI superimposed the readings. The electromagnetic flash had happened at precisely the same moment as the last movement of the anomaly. Could be mechanical, someone breathed, though no one seemed to believe it. If it was mechanical, it had been operating for decades. Centuries. And why would it have been entombed? The argument between pulling the drone upward was stopped in its tracks when the predictive module of the AI engaged, suggesting a high-resolution, close-up scan. This was not a random recommendation, the system had indicated that the anomaly was a priority target based on its aggregate heat, motion, and electromagnetic signature. They dropped the drone another 8 feet, down to level with the access seam to Chamber 1. The floodlights illuminated the wall, and it presented the same smooth, unbroken surface, but the sensors went wild with readings. The LiDAR feed stuttered, and then continued, and for 2 fleeting frames, the AI detected an outline within the chamber, tall, slender, non-human. It was not shapeless or identifiable, and the system could not place it in any recognized geological or biological type. There was a silent, gaping stare from everyone at the model. Then, the picture disappeared. Static appeared on the display. A few moments later, the video stream deteriorated, ripping in horizontal strips before freezing completely. The AI tried to reconnect, hanging in limbo for 37 seconds. Then, in frozen frame, the light within the chamber changed, not from the movement of drones, but from something reflecting it. 2 pinpoints of light appeared in precisely the place that a pair of eyes would be. The feed flickered black. The last file wasn't a scan, it was a map. The shaft ran miles past their sensor limits, with 2 indistinct, impossible lines linking it to faraway places, one in Nevada, the other in a desolate, unpopulated area on the other side of the world. Initially, they thought a glitch, but records of seismic and satellite activity indicated both areas exhibited similar unsettling characteristics: electromagnetic disturbances, vanishing wildlife, and ancient stories of doomed or bottomless pits. Nevada's data was an almost perfect match to Mel's hole: identical dimensions, the same reinforcement pattern, and the same void-like density. The overseas site looked barren, but decades of thermal scans showed intermittent underground heat blooms, mirroring those in Mel's sealed chambers. The AI's conclusion was stark: probable link structures. One additional piece of information caught my eye. The reinforcement rings ended at 1.9 miles deep, where the shaft constricted, and the walls, composed of unknown substance, cancelled all thermal and electromagnetic scans. The AI could not perceive beyond that point, but it could sense something: an ultra-low frequency vibration. 2 brief pulses, one lengthy pause, repeated ad infinitum. A code. A signal. A warning. Or maybe, a reply. If all 3 locations were linked, if something active still remained deep inside, then Mel's hole wasn't a one-off phenomenon. It was part of an international system. Cold silence filled the camp. If the thing in Chamber 1 had responded to the drone, then perhaps the signal wasn't random after all. Perhaps it was a reply. That meant the hole wasn't merely a secret. It was an open pipe. And whatever awaited on the other end may not remain silent for too long.